I really hate recording on this wireless mic. It has a crappy sound. I need a new wireless mic. When I never feel bad, come on, yeah. So I wanted to do something different for this video. I am going to make a mixed berry muffin. I'm in a baking sort of mood, barreled in the province of Quebec, bringing flooding in some parts of the province. And in our case, it just brought a lot of rain. It wasn't as bad as Montreal. If you looked at some of the footage this week of Montreal, the lighting also sucks. I just realized the lighting is abysmal. Please don't come at me. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm just doing this for fun, okay? So if you looked at some of the footage, some of the news, you would see and it's all over Instagram. There are reels about it, about water in the buses and roads being completely flooded. Amusingly, in 1987, around July 14th, we had torrential downpour. Like, it wasn't a hurricane, wasn't caused by a hurricane, but we had torrential downpour. And the same streets that were flooded back then were flooded again this year. Like, plus ça change. So I am going to make a recipe that I haven't made in a long time. So I found the paper lying in my drawer because I was doing some cleaning, because that's what teachers do on their summer break. They clean. And I found this recipe, and a certain someone in my family does not like my regular berry muffin recipe because it contains oats. Now, I realize that having oats in your muffins is an acquired taste. Not everyone likes that. Not everyone likes fiber in their muffins. They would rather have cake instead of muffins. That's it. But those aren't muffins. Like, if you want cake, go for cake. If you want muffins, go for muffins. Isn't a cupcake just a muffin with icing? So I'm going to do this recipe. And as I mentioned, I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm certainly not a cook, as I've been evicted from this kitchen. So me working in this kitchen right now is a rare occurrence, as my husband is the trained professional chef and my daughter doesn't want me to cook. So I am making these muffins while everybody's out of the house, and hopefully no one's going to come in finishing work early, and I need to finish this filming and all of the work before they return home. So I've already mixed the dry ingredients. Ta-da. And I will put the ingredients in the description, but it's made with 2 cups of flour, 3/4 cups of brown sugar, 2.5 teaspoons baking powder. We don't want to just rise them, we want them to launch into space. 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/4 teaspoon salt. One thing that I learned is that you're allowed to mix everything, all the dried ingredients together, just let it wait, and then prep your wet ingredients. Some people say that brown sugar is considered a wet ingredient. No, it's a dry ingredient. So, and I've already preheated the oven, ta-da, to 375. A tad hot in my opinion, but we'll see. And that might be the reason why I didn't go back to this recipe. And now for the wet ingredients. Okay, so we are going to start with the 2 eggs. 2 eggs, okay? And I've got my bowl. And please, folks, okay, I'm married to a trained professional chef who no longer works in restaurants, but was working in restaurants for like 25 years of his life. Do not crack your eggs on the side, unless you would like eggshells in your eggs. It's like those little things. So flat surface. The recipe also asks for 1 cup of mashed bananas. Now, I did not want to sacrifice all my bananas that I consume as is. So I made a mix of 1 mashed banana and applesauce. So I have no idea how this is going to come out. And obviously I am going to film the reveal of these muffins once they're cooked. So in they go with the eggs. Now, I don't want it to seem like I bake often. I don't. I firmly believe in the quick and easy baking, all right? My idea of baking cookies, for instance, is taking this recipe that I found on BuzzFeed a few years back, how to make cookies out of cake mix. So if you like your cookies mushy with like that cakey texture, that's a recipe. And all you need is a cake mix, 2 eggs, and 1/3 of a cup of oil, and you put whatever fillings you want, chocolate chips, white chocolate chips, anything you want, and they make cookies. And my students love them. If you know, you know. If you've had Mme La Prof's cookies, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And they are amazing. They are amazing. And it's easy because I am not a chef. I am not a chef. So I'm mixing the bananas and the eggs. It kind of looks like, you know, but it kind of looks like that. Now, 1/3 of a cup each of milk and oil. I'm using plain old vegetable, or is it canola oil? I don't know what my husband bought, but it's not olive oil. You want, I don't think you want something strong tasting oil-wise, okay? And once again, I'm not an expert. I'm just following the recipe. Ah, yes, and vanilla. Nah, don't fall. Oh yeah, some people use a whisk. I just use a fork to mix the ingredients. I know some people say it's not a uniform mixing, but when you mix for a long time, I guess they blend eventually. I know I can hear, and oh, it's 1 teaspoon vanilla. 1 teaspoon vanilla. Follow the recipe, Mme La Prof. Ah, okay, I dribbled some. That's okay. That's okay. And oh, you can never eyeball ingredients when you're baking, because from what I understood a long time ago, via my husband, cooking is an art. You can always add and tweak things and eyeball things. Baking is more akin to a science, because if you put too much of one ingredient instead of another, it can have disastrous effects. You know, if you don't put any salt, apparently you need salt for things to rise. There needs to be a blend like of sugar and salt. Based on, I like writing recipes in shorthand. And this recipe is so shorthand, it doesn't explain when to add what. But if you've made muffins for a while, like, you know that you just incorporate the liquid into the dry, and you make sure not to over mix. You don't want the muffin mix to be so blended, because apparently it affects how it rises. Apparently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the berries. There are way more berries than the 3/4 cups of raspberry that this recipe asks for. And I am not going to lie, almost an hour doing the mise en place for this, prepping all the ingredients before filming. And that's very important for any recipe, not just the ones that you're going to film for YouTube. And then we start blending. So, okay, I'm going to try and show without making like a mess. The mix looks like that. Don't lose the fork, Mme La Prof. And I just kind of add the liquid to, and I brought a spatula. Where did I put my spatula? Because I want to scrape everything from the, there you go. And there we go. Okay. And I'm using the fork to incorporate, like, I'm not vigorously, I'm not mixing vigorously, but I'm trying to make sure all the dry gets properly moistened. What is this with people not liking the word moist? It's a word, it exists. Keep on mixing until, like, I heard someplace that it's okay if there's still some dry bits. And when I see there's too many dry bits, like, instead of trying to be violent in my mixing, I kind of just like smush the wet on top of the dry, and it kind of blends in everything together. Now, okay, the raspberries that I bought were discounted berries and, you know, raspberries and blueberries together. So I'm mixing it, and it's giving like a really lovely pink hue. So the muffin mix is like this. All right, looks like that. Now, some people believe in greasing muffin tins. I don't have time for that. I love liners. You can get the decorative kind, but like paper liners, and ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. So I'm gonna pause the video so I can fill up the tin, and then, you know, we'll carry on shortly. Actually, I paused and I figured I could continue talking while I'm filling this. You know, has that ever stopped me? No, nothing has stopped me from talking. But I'm that kind of person where, you know, everybody thinks that I like talking a lot. I actually don't. I don't. At Comic-Con this weekend, somebody that I've known for a while. Okay, I've known for a while, and I've known him, I don't want to say as a student, but I've known him when he was a student. And he made some comment about how I should be like living the best life and going out and enjoying myself. But the thing is, I'm that kind of person who will need to recharge my battery. And when I hit my limit, and I'm done. And I've often told students, you know, I don't like monopolizing the conversation. I don't like that feeling of you know, having everyone just listen to me. Look, when I have something to say, I want to say it, and I will say it. But I will quickly revert to silence, and I will love those comfortable silences. So yeah, so I don't know about you, but summer for me is that time where I can recharge that battery, that social battery that I will need on for pretty much the entire school year. And seeing as I'm going to be in a new school, there's going to be a lot of stories, a lot of talking. I'm sure there'll be students who will want to know, like, oh my God, you worked at that school, you worked at that school. So I don't want to have extra mix. Like, I don't want to cook this in 2 batches. So I am fairly certain I am overfilling some of these muffin tins. And when they're going to bake, they're going to explode. Or should I say overflow? And I'm making a mess all over the tin. I'm using a 1/4 cup measuring spoon to measure the filling. And I'm using a spoon to scoop it out. Like, okay, so we used to have those ice cream scoops with the spring, you know, and a lot of people say, oh, you know, portion out your muffin mix with that, but like we don't have one anymore. So I don't know if I filled them up evenly. I'm trying to scrape whatever's left in the bowl. And why am I using a fork to scoop out the spoon? I don't know. All right. I've got muffin mix on my hands. Ooh. I don't like, you know, like there's some certain textures that I just don't like. And so it kind of looks like this. Ta-da! Okay. I'm gonna pause the video just to wash my hands. Ooh. Hands washed. I am now going to put this in the oven. Oh. And timer for 20 minutes. That's not long. I will obviously show you the finished product shortly.
Editing magic. They are now done. Ta-da! And in a moment, I will taste test one.
This is what it looks like. So, I have no idea how it tastes. It's still very hot, but I just couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. Okay, it's extra gooey because of the inordinate amount of berries I put in. Oh, look at that, look at that. That's some berry goodness right there. And I don't know, do you like your muffins more cakey? I don't. I feel guilty having a muffin like that. I feel like I just. I mean, I'm not saying that you're not allowed to have one of those store-bought muffins that's about the size of this like vase, but you know, oh, that's good. Okay, so I'm just gonna try the top. They're hot. Okay. This is not horrible. It's not as pink as I thought. I mean, if you look at parts of the blueberries, the raspberries, I should say, it's good. It's good. Not my favorite. I like my other recipe that I found in a really old cookbook called Looney Spoons. Maybe some of you have heard of it. I'll put the recipe in the description. This does not stop. As she says, a mouthful of food. I'm sure that'll get a couple of likes. That is a tasty, tasty snack. It is quite tasty. And it's fluffy, and it feels light, and the density seems to come from the fruits and not from, you know, the starchy bits. If that makes any sense. Look at me trying to give like a critique, a culinary critique. I have no background in that. What am I supposed to say? It's properly conjugated? Have yourselves an awesome day.